Every morning, I wake up with a smile that feels like it belongs to someone else. My name is Clara, and for the first time in my life, I understand what people mean when they talk about being in love. It's not just butterflies or excitement, it's deeper than that. It's a quiet certainty, a warmth that lingers even on the coldest days. And it all started with Daniel. I met him 6 months ago at a bookstore café where I often go to read and write. He was sitting across from me, scribbling furiously in a notebook. Something about him caught my eye. Maybe it was the way his brow furrowed in concentration or how he absent-mindedly sipped coffee without looking away from the page. When our eyes met briefly, I quickly looked down, pretending to focus on my book. But curiosity got the better of me, and after a few minutes, I glanced up again. This time, he smiled, a warm, genuine smile that made me feel seen in a way I hadn't before. "Hi," he said, breaking the silence between us. "You look like you're deep in thought." His voice was calm, inviting. I hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "Just trying to finish this chapter," I replied, holding up my book. We ended up talking for over an hour about books, music, and everything in between. By the time we parted ways, exchanging numbers almost shyly, I knew something had shifted inside me. Over the next few weeks, we grew closer. Our conversations flowed effortlessly, whether we were discussing philosophy or laughing over silly jokes. What struck me most about Daniel was his kindness, not just toward me, but toward everyone around him. He remembered names, listened intently, and always seemed genuinely interested in others' lives. It wasn't long before I realized I was falling for him. One evening, as we walked along the riverbank under a sky painted orange and pink by the setting sun, Daniel stopped suddenly and turned to face me. "Clara," he began, his voice soft but steady, "I don't know if you feel the same, but I think about you all the time. You make everything brighter, easier, better." My heart raced as I stared into his eyes, searching for words that wouldn't come. Instead, I simply nodded, tears welling up in my own eyes. "Me too," I whispered finally. That moment sealed something between us, a promise, unspoken but understood. Being in love has changed me in ways I didn't expect. For one thing, I've become braver. Before Daniel, I avoided risks, preferring the safety of routine. Now, I find myself saying yes to things I would have once dismissed, trying new foods, hiking unfamiliar trails, even performing poetry at an open mic night, something Daniel encouraged despite my nerves. Each experience feels richer because he's there, cheering me on. But love isn't always easy. There are moments of doubt, misunderstandings that leave us both frustrated. A few weeks ago, we argued about something trivial, whose turn it was to clean the kitchen sink, but it escalated quickly. Hurtful words were exchanged, and for a while, I wondered if we'd crossed a line we couldn't uncross. Yet, later that night, Daniel knocked on my door holding 2 cups of hot chocolate. "Peace offering?" he asked sheepishly. I let him in, and we talked until dawn, clearing the air and reminding ourselves why we chose each other. Through these ups and downs, I've learned that love isn't about perfection, it's about effort. It's showing up, even when it's hard. It's choosing forgiveness over resentment, patience over irritation. With Daniel, I've discovered strength I didn't know I had, alongside vulnerabilities I never dared to show anyone else. As I sit here now, writing this story, I can hear him humming softly in the other room. The sound comforts me, grounding me in the present. Love, I've come to realize, is not some grand gesture or fleeting emotion, it's in the little things. The way he makes sure I eat breakfast when I'm running late. The way he holds my hand during scary movies, even though he's more frightened than I am. These small acts of care build something enduring, something real. People say love changes you, and they're right, but not in the way movies portray it. It doesn't magically solve your problems or transform you overnight. Instead, it teaches you to grow, to adapt, to see yourself through someone else's eyes. Through Daniel, I've learned to embrace imperfection, not just in him, but in myself. Tomorrow will bring its own challenges, its own joys. But whatever happens, I know one thing for certain, I'll face it with Daniel by my side. Because loving him isn't just a feeling, it's a choice I make every single day. And honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way.